Hey everyone, it's Kyle from United After Sport. So I want to start with a little bit of my personal journey and story and why I'm doing this. During the pandemic, I took some time to do a bit of self reflection, just about my own future and sort of what passions I wanted to pursue. And what I've always come back to in my life is a love for sports and psychology. And I always like to say that ESPN's 30 for 30s or any sort of sports documentary for that matter, where it's not just about the athletes, but their stories and the humanity behind the athletes. That's sort of my happy place. So I started doing some research around athletes and psychology in sports and came across an article around the mental and physical challenges that athletes often face when they retire from sports. So now at that point, it had been 20 years since my last collegiate soccer game. And reading this, not to sound overly dramatic, but it really was a life-changing moment for me. And here's why. So I finally understood what I had experienced so many years ago when I went through the retirement process on my own, but never could really quite put my finger on. So, the identity piece of no longer being a competitive athlete, who am I without my sport, to some of the physical challenges. So now that I'm not training for a sport, what should my workouts and fitness routines be like? And, where's that motivation coming from now that there's no competition anymore? And so it kind of lit a bit of a fire in me and I became really drawn to the space, and I continued to immerse myself with it and learn more and more. And, if I were to kind of look back on all my research and time investigating it, there was some personal observations that I took away from that time. And the first is, I'd probably say the most important, and it's sort of the harsh truth and maybe a little bit of the elephant in the room that's not talked about as often, is, we don't prioritize athletes when they retire. And it's not to say that we don't care about athletes as humans and want them to be successful in their lives after sport. But, after retirement, the sporting world moves on, right? It's about the next great athlete, the next great championship. And oftentimes retiring athletes are left to kind of, figure this out on their own with not a lot of support. Second, there's been a decent amount of research that proves this can be a very difficult transition for athletes. So, there's data behind this challenge, and it's been out there for years. The third thing is, while it's been an incredibly positive thing to see how much focus there has been on mental health and changing that narrative in a positive way and bringing awareness to that and athletes' needs around it, when it comes to retirement, it's still a hard topic for many athletes to confront and talk about and maybe seek out help for. The fourth thing is that this often sneaks up on athletes and they're not prepared. So there's so much focus when you're an athlete that there's no time to really think otherwise. And, it eventually catches up. For some athletes, it might be, right away after retirement. Others, it might take a few months, and others, it might be a year plus. But the point being is that at some point, many athletes will start to experience some of these challenges as they're at certain points in their transition. And then fifth is, there really are limited amount of resources out there to support athletes and awareness around them. So there really feels like there's an opportunity, for something bigger and more to support athletes. And what I will say on this, amongst all these observations, is there are actually a lot of smart people who have been in this space, helping and making great contributions to support retiring athletes. Certainly long before me, but the collective reality, in my opinion, is that we're all facing this, is that nothing has really scaled to solve this challenge. And that was really for me where, the premise and the thought behind United After Sport was born. And it's this idea that, what if we as athletes and former athletes come together to be the solution to this problem? And it's rooted in a greater purpose and belief that athletes can be the solution to this longstanding challenge. And if athletes unite, one by one, sport by sport, country by country, and share their stories and journeys, we can build something that's greater than all of us. And just think right now, there are athletes that are retiring all over the world, not knowing who or where to turn to kind of help guide them through the transition. And we athletes and former athletes together can be the solution, so that 5 or 10 years down the line, no athlete's going to really feel left behind, and we can all play a role in making that happen. And that's why we're here and what we're trying to build with United After Sport. And will it work? I don't know, but I truly believe in trying to reimagine how things have been done before, and have a belief that if athletes truly unite, we can make it happen. So at its core, we hope this podcast and the performance coaching is going to help and inspire others. But beyond that, we hope that we are uniting towards a greater purpose, and really creating something greater for future generations of athletes, and that we can be on our way to an ambitious goal of helping 1 million athletes worldwide. And, my dream is that one day every current athlete who is still competing will know that they have a resource and community waiting there for them when they retire to help, and that will be widely embraced and celebrated in the sporting world. And so, if you believe in all of this and it resonates with you, then we hope you come stand united with us. Let's do this.